Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be creating and animating full screen landing page for the sign-in form of a fictional company. So I haven't really added the logo for the company. You can add it. You can do a lot of stuff to the page. The main focus was to teach you guys how to create a animating sign-in form with a video and then GSAP animations. So here, if you see, if I refresh the page, you have the video kind of scaling in, and then you have the text on the left that fades in from the bottom, and then you have this users, which basically shows that these are the users, and then you have over 102k active users, and then the users kind of stack from the left side, and then on the right side you have the form. And then the introduction, this fades in, and then you have the form controls with checkboxes and then cool focus animations. And also you have these icons, which we're going to be using remix icons for that. And then also you have, in case the user haven't created an account, you have the option for the user to create an account. Also, if the user wants, they can sign in using Google, Facebook, Twitter, or maybe mail. So yeah, the video is gonna be a bit long, and hopefully you enjoy the video. Hopefully you learn. So yeah, that's it. So without any delay, let's start the video. But before starting, the source code of this is in the description. And if you're new to the channel, if you haven't subscribed, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn the bell on, or turn the notifications bell on, so that you never miss any of the updates from my channel. Let's start and let's see. So here I am in my folder with the name of landing 25, but it's not a landing page, it's more like a form. So yeah, you can change the name of the folder. And then here I have all the images and then the video. Now I could have added a different folder wherein I could have added these images along with the video, but I just thought of dropping it directly inside of the main folder. And then here I have the index.html file, and then I also have the style.css file. Now in the index.html file, I have linked the style sheet, and also I've given it a title with the name of sign in. Now this is the finished one, and then this one I've opened using live server. Now first, let's get the CDN for GSAP and also for the icons. So we can type remix icon, then cdnjs. The first link that opens up, you're gonna click onto that, and then you're gonna want to copy this second one, the minified version, paste it here, and then do the same for GSAP cdnjs. Go to the first link, copy the first one, paste it here. Okay. Now if you see the finished one, so we basically have two sections, the left and the right. Now the entire side, as usual, we're going to be using the main element. So inside of the main element, we'd have the left and we'd have the right. Now inside of the left, we have the video. Now the video might have sound, so you can mute the video. Also, you're gonna want to loop the video so that once it ends, it again starts playing. And then you're gonna want to have the preload, which basically loads the video beforehand. And then you have autoplay, which basically when you reload or visit the page, the video starts automatically. So we have that. And then we also have the header. We just will be calling it header. So for this text, which says join our community. Now this is going to be inside of H2. And then we have the I tag, wherein we have added this the class for the remix icon for the chat smile. Okay. And then we have a paragraph tag inside of which, inside of the italic tag, basically in the italic font. I've just pasted the text or kind of like a subheading which says it's never too late. And then right after that, we have the users, these 4 images. So we're going to have 4 different users. So inside of the user, I'd have the image, and then I'll paste in the rest of the 3 users. And then I'd have the paragraph, and then I'll just paste in the text which says over 102K users, active users, and I'll just save it. Okay. And then now we have to do with the right side. So you see the text, so this subheading as well as the images, and then this paragraph, it says over 102K active users. Now in the right section, if you see, so we have a heading, some subheading, and then the form controls. So in the right, first we have the intro. Inside of H2, we can add welcome dear sir or ma'am. And then inside of the spam, I've added the emoji for the hand sign. And then inside of the paragraph, I've just added the subheading which says please sign into your account below. And then we're going to start our form. Now inside of the form, so usually whenever you're creating form elements, make sure you have a specific form control class inside of which you include the label along with the inputs. And then if you also want to add icons, you make sure that you add it inside of that specific form control itself, so that it kind of has the differentiation between your different components. So the different form elements that you might have, in case we have this intro, if we had this intro inside of the form, we would have clear differentiation between where the intro is and then the different form controls that we're having. So we have this form control. Inside of this, we have the label. Now here you can also add the for attribute, and then you can connect this label with the input. But then I've just for the sake of teaching you guys how to build it, I haven't used that. You can add it if you want. Now inside the paragraph, I've specified the email address, and then the input type email. Now you can also add a text here instead of email, and then in the JavaScript you can do the verification. And then inside of the placeholder, I've just added a dummy email just so that the user can understand what email or what type of email that they need to write. And then the icon, inside of that, I've just added the user smile icon, the mix icon. Okay. And then we're going to have the form control again, now this time for the password. And I've added a kind of like a dummy password placeholder. And then also I've added the lock fill icon for the password. Okay, let's see. So this is how our form control looks. And then we'd have another form control or F control. Now this time it's going to be for the checkbox. So for the checkbox, you need to make sure that you have a different class added to the form control, since the checkbox would be styled in a different way than the regular form controls. And then inside of the label, we have the text and then the input checkbox. And then you have the button type submit, and also I've added the class submit here, which says sign in. And then you have a form fallback, or at least that is what I like to call it. In case if the user doesn't really want to sign in, or in case the user doesn't really have the sign in account, then you want the user to have the option of creating an account or logging in using the different ways, maybe Google, Facebook, Twitter, or maybe just mail. Okay, so first we have don't have an account, and then add the anchor tag, and then add create an account. Now keep in mind that we also have added the forgot password here inside of the form control for the password. Just in case the user doesn't really remember the password, they can click here. And then we have the divider, this divider with the text in the middle. So we're going to have this divider class, and then we're going to pass in this data attribute of data text, and then here we're going to pass in the text. Now, when we style it, I'm going to be showing you why we're passing in the text here inside instead of passing in inside of the divider. And then we're going to have the different options. So we're going to have an anchor tag with a class of Google, and then we're going to pass in the Google icon. And then I'm going to be doing the same for the rest of the three. And yeah, so we're basically done with the HTML. In the CSS, I have the font family pop-ins, and then here I've removed the default margin and padding and set the box sizing to border box, and I've also added the font family as pop-ins inside of this asterisk or for all. Now the reason for adding it here is because the input placeholders and also the button elements, if you add the font family inside of the body, they do not take into effect. So I just, instead of saving time, so instead of going to all the hustle of adding it again and again to those different places, I've just added it here. Now instead of the body, I'm going to be giving it a height and width of 100 viewport height and 100 viewport width, and then I'll be setting the overflow to hidden so that nothing really goes beyond the viewports, and then the background would be black in color. Okay. Now the main div, that is unwrapping everything. So I'll just give it width of 100% and height of 100% and display flex so that left and right are in horizontal, and then left and right would have width of 50%. So both of them would have a width of 50%, but then the height would be entire or 100%. Let's save. Okay. And then we're going to have display flex to action to column, justify content to center, and align items to center. So that if you see here, these elements are flexed aligned, and then they're aligned in the direction as column. Same goes for here. So we're setting it directly here for both of the class left and right. And now we're going to title the video. So video would be positioned absolutely with left and top value of 0, z-index of -1, and height and width to 100%, and then the object fit to cover. Okay. And then also the left. Okay, let's refresh. Second. Okay, so we have some of the content here. We basically, let's hide it for now. Let's hide the users. Okay. So we have the video here. Now we're going to need to add some kind of an overlay on top of the video so that when we add text, it is readable. So first, whenever you add a pseudo element, you need to add this content to empty string. And then I'm going to be setting the position of absolute. And then this overlay needs to cover the entire video. So I'll just write inset to 0, which basically means that start from the top of the video and go to left 0, right 0, and also to bottom 0. So basically taking the entire width and height of the video. And then the background color of the overlay would be black, but then we also have added a bit of opacity, so we set it 0.5 so that it's not entirely dark. And then the z-index needs to be 10 so that this is on top of the video. Okay. Now the mix blend mode, you can add here the property of darken. So there are different types of filters you can call, and you can try and you can see which one fits better. So in this case, I've just added darken. Okay. Now the left, the color would be white. Let's save. Okay. Now the text is behind the overlay. So we also need to bring back the text on top. So we need to do that. And before that, let's bring in our users. And then the users would have a display flex since they're stacked horizontally, and then align items and justify content to center with z-index of 100 and margin top of 20 pixels. Okay. And now the specific or the individual users would have a height and width of 60 pixels each, since we want them in circular shape. So height and width needs to be same. And the overflow hidden, and then border radius to 50% with a border of this. Let's save. And then the image would have width and height of 100%, object fit to cover. Let's save. Okay, looks good. Now, if you see here, the images are on top of each other. At least they're taking some specific portion of the one underneath them. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to target the nth child, and we're going to first target the second one, basically the second user, and then the margin left, I'll just add minus 30 pixels, which would make the user shift to the left, and then this would kind of start overlapping with the previous one. Same we're going to do for the third one, but this time, so this time as well, minus 30. But then for the fourth one, I've just added minus 40 pixels. So these values you can play around and you can see which one fits better. Now for the paragraphs, I'll just add font size to 14 pixels, text shadow 10 pixels, the horizontal shadow, and then the second one is the vertical one, and then the third is the blur radius. And the default value is 0. So this time I want it to have a 30 pixel of blur, and then the color would be black. Let's save. Okay. And then the opacity would be 0.8. Now margin left would be 10 pixels. And now we're going to target the header, which has the join our amazing community. So I'll target that. I'll add z index of 10 and then position of relative. Okay. And then, so z index of 10 won't really work. So since the overlay has the index of 10, we need a value higher than that. So this part you can remove, and you can just have z index of 100. Okay. And then the text align to right. Let's save. Okay, looks good. Now for the left header 2, we can add the font size to 30 pixels, text shadow same, 10 pixels horizontal, vertical, and then blur radius to 30 pixels, and then this color. Okay. Now for the right, we're going to set the z index of 10, background of white, and then the intro, basically, which has this text, margin bottom of 30 pixels, line height 1.8, and width at 60%. The height or the H2 would have a font size of 18 pixels, font weight of this, and then the paragraph would have a font size of this, color of this, and a font weight of 500. Let's save. And then the hand wave sign would have a font size of 30 pixels. Okay. And the form would have a width of 60% as well, just like the intro. And then we're going to target the form control, would have a width of 100%, display flex, and then flex direction to column so that they are stacked on top of each other. And then font size to 14 pixels, margin bottom 18 pixels. And then position relative, since the icon would be placed absolutely somewhere here. Now we're going to target the input. We're going to give it width of 100%, padding of 12 pixels from top and bottom, and 15 pixels from left and right. A border with 0.4 alpha value of black, and then border radius of 5 pixels. Outline, we're going to remove it, and then transition would have 0.3 seconds. Okay. Now also the label would have a display flex, font weight to 500, a color to this, margin bottom of 5 pixels. Let's save. Now the reason for adding a display flex is because the anchor tag here would be placed at the right. So anchor tag, we can just write the color to inherit for the form controls. So whatever color the parent has, basically the anchor tag would just inherit that. And then text decoration, we don't really want. Margin left auto, which would make it push to the right. Okay. And then for the checkbox, you see the checkbox is also in a weird situation. So we're going to target the specified checkbox class for the form control. And then we're going to set display flex, but then this time the flex direction would be row reverse. Basically row, but then the element that is coming last would now be first, and then the first would be last. Basically reversing the order. Okay. Now we want to align items to center and then justify content to flex end, basically here. Now remember, whenever you're adding this row reverse, what would happen is initially, or if I were to align these at the start, I would have written here flex start. But then since the order is reversed, you need to add flex end just to get these elements at the start. Let's save. A checkbox. So this is entirely the width that is taken by the checkbox. Save. So input would have height and width of 20 pixels. And then this accent color you can add here to change the background color of this. So instead of this, if I were to write, let's say black, see the background changes. Now the checkbox label would have a margin top of 5 pixels, just so it kind of aligns at the center of the checkbox. Left to 10 pixels. Okay. Now for the icons, when I have them position absolute, top 50%, right 10 pixels, font size to 20 pixels, and transform translate Y to -2 pixels. Just a bit. Okay. Looks good. Now the color, we'll just keep it black, but then when we hover or when we focus into the checkbox, you'd see the color changes. So we also need a transition just so that when we do the animation, it blends in well. Now for the font control input focus, we would add the border color to the blue color, and then the icon just next to the input would change the color to the blue color. Let's save. Okay, looks good. Now the submit button would have width 100%, padding of this, font size 16, font weight 600, outline none, border radius 5 pixel, and then a border of this. Okay. Background also needs to be blue. Color needs to be white. Okay. Now we would add a little bit of box shadow. So same, the horizontal value is 5 pixels. The vertical is this. Then you have 10 pixels, and then the blue color, but then I've just reduced the opacity. And then the cursor needs to be pointer. Okay. Now we're going to target the fallback. We're going to give margin top of 30 pixels, and then display flex direction to column, align items to center. We'll just decrease the font size to 14 pixels, and we're going to give the color to this. Font weight to 500, and then the anchor tag would have text decoration none, color to this, margin left 8 pixels. Now we're going to target the divider. Now the divider would have a width of 100%, height 1 pixels, and a background color of this. Okay, and also margin 30 pixels top and bottom, left and right 0. Now whatever text you want, the text needs to be at the center. But then if I were to write the text here, I would have to add a different element and then style it and do a lot of other stuff. So what I'm doing is I've added this data attribute of text here. So now I'll just add the position relative and add the after pseudo element of this divider. And then here the content would be the one that I've added here in the data attribute, which you can access using the attr function. And then here you can pass in the name of your data attribute. In this case, it is data text. If I save, you have the OR here. And then I can position this now absolutely, give a top left value, and also translate it, and then set the background to this, add a bit of padding, and I see the text is at the center, and then the divider is, it kind of looks that it has two different sections, left and right. And then also I'll change the color to this. Now the fallback options, these buttons that we are having here, the different colors of buttons. So I'll just add as display flex, align items to center, and then gap of 10 pixels each. And then the anchor tags, or the buttons basically, I'll just add height and width to 40 pixels, and then add the icon at the center using display grid, place content to center. Since there is only one child directly inside of the anchor tag, I can add this property, And then also border radius to 10 pixels, the color to this, font size to 16 pixels. And then now since we don't really have the colors, so what I'll do is I'll just paste in Google, Facebook, Twitter, and Mail, and I'll just add the different respective colors. Okay, looks good. So we're done with our HTML and also CSS. Now let's add the GSAP. So for the GSAP, here inside of the script tag, I'll just add the form. So if you have been watching the videos, you know how to use GSAP. So GSAP has two, if you're a beginner, you can just use the two states that it gives, the form and the to. So this form is basically the value. So this is the final value that we want our design or the page to look like. But then this form would let you add a value that would kind of animate from, and then you would reach this as the final layout or the final position of the elements. So here I'll just target the video, and then the video I want to scale 1.2. So basically initially the video would be bigger in size, but then finally it would be normal, something like this. So the way it is now, okay? And then also the duration of the animation will be 2 seconds, and then I'll just add the ease of power3.out, and let's save. So you'd see if I reload, see the image kind of scales, and then right after 2 seconds it comes back to normal, and then you have the animations and then you have the video. Okay, so initially the video is bigger in size and then scales down to normal. Okay, now we're going to target the header, which has the join our community text, and I want it to come from the y-axis. So I've just added 100%, and then I've added opacity of 0. So initially it would be somewhere underneath, and then the opacity would be 0. So the element won't be visible, but then after 1 second of delay, it would start animating, and then it would come to its original place, which is this, and then the opacity would also be 1. Okay, looks good. Now the users, if you see, the users come stacking in from the left side. So we can target the user, all the different users that we have, and also the paragraph. So from the X side, I want to take 100%, and then opacity would be 0. Stagger, which basically the time delay that the next user should take, which is 0.2 seconds after the first one comes. And then you have a delay of 1 second. So basically after 1 second passes by, you want the entire animation to start. Let's save. Okay. And then you have the intro, which is this. You have the Y value of 50%, opacity 0, delay of 1 second, the duration of 1 second. Looks good. And then we're going to target the form control and then submit button. Again, the Y this time would be 100 pixels, not in percent. Opacity would be 0, stagger of 0.2, so that the next element comes with a delay of 0.2 seconds. And then you have a delay of 1.5 seconds for the entire animation. And then the form fallback would have opacity 0, delay of 2.5 seconds, duration of 1. Let's save. And there you have it. So yeah, this is it, guys. So this is the video. The source code is in the description. Hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you've learned how to create stunning animating pages for sign-in forms, or maybe register forms, or different types of forms, multi-level forms, which we're going to be building in next few weeks. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you like the content, if you're new, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell so that you never miss any of my updates. And yeah, the source code is in the description. Download, check it out, play with it, and add it wherever you want. Thanks for watching the video. Meet you guys in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Take care.